Alex and I were on like a climbing trip, and I was just in like, it was again, we were in a situation where I was just constantly being re-triggered and re-triggered and re-triggered, and so upset at myself about like, why can't I just get over this? And then, you know, devolving of just like angry at myself, upset that I can't do things, that just made me get even more reactive and basically more traumatized. And yeah, at that point I was just like, I'm never gonna get over this. Like, what's the point of moving on if I can't even like get through this kind of day? And that was when I shared with Alex that I was like, I just don't even feel like I can continue anymore. Like, I don't want to be here. Like, I think I want to kill myself. For him, the reaction was more like, holy shit, this is really bad. I don't know what to do. And so his solution basically was like to call the therapist that I'd worked with before that had done EMDR. And I think I thought that that therapist, who was like at that point a close friend and mentor, was gonna like want to work with me on it. And instead, their reaction was basically like, okay, well, like, here's the number for the suicide hotline, and that's, you know, what you should call. Interestingly, my reaction to that was like, obviously severe disappointment and kind of like, oh my God, like, I'm getting abandoned by this person as well. But in a way, it almost also gave me a bit of like a wake up call that it was like, yeah, like, no one else is going to do this work for you. Like, you have to do it yourself, and you have to choose to want to be here, and you have to choose to want to like keep showing up and like meeting yourself where you're at. And that was kind of, I think, what helped me just like make that decision, that it was like, no, I don't want to leave, but I also don't want to live this way anymore, and so I need to find a different solution. That's what can feel so frustrating about a lot of these like healing journeys, and especially mental health healing journeys, is it can feel like 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. And so like, just because I made the decision that like, yes, I want to keep being here and I do want to like move forward with my life and try to heal, it didn't mean that I just like magically found a solution and like was able to just take each step forward and get better. It was kind of trial and error. Like, something would work for a little while, and then it would kind of like stop being quite as effective, and then I'd have to kind of go through the whole process of feeling really disappointed and feeling really ashamed and feeling really frustrated and feeling really angry, and then eventually getting so sick of feeling those feelings that I was like, okay, I need to find something else that's going to be at least somewhat helpful. And so it was kind of like years of just trying to figure out, this is feeling good for a while, and then I'm going to pursue that, to like, okay, that's not really working anymore, so I need to find something else. But then like really at the core of all of that for me was having to just accept where I was at. And that was a lot easier said than done, because even with that realization, like, you still have external pressures. Like, I was still working, I was still guiding, I was still needing to show up as best as I could for my clients and my coworkers. And yeah, some days that was really hard, and other days I would say that's probably what like kept me going, because it was like, wow, despite everything else that's going on, I can still do this work and I can still find joy in it. And that was a really important realization, and it didn't just make everything better. Like, it's just constant work, and it's still, even to this day, it's like, when I'm not able to do things that I think I should be able to do, it's really hard to not beat yourself up about it. I think the numbness, it would come and go. It kind of, I mean, if I was going to make an analogy, it kind of would feel like a fog at certain times that would like come in and like be really thick for a while, and then it might kind of dissipate, or you'd see the sunshine through it and kind of feel that like, oh, maybe there is something that I'm going to be able to kind of move towards, and then it would come back in and it would feel like, yeah, just like a downward spiral at times. And then I think what helped to kind of turn the corner almost was like, okay, I've done everything I can now to try to get help or get support, and it's like still not really working. Like, what is it that I can change? And for me, with that experience, it kind of turned into like, I just have to accept where I'm at. Like, if I'm not able to do these activities, or I feel like I don't want to, I need to be okay with that and just accept and move on. I think that's really where the beginning of the healing started. I think that healing is going to always be a continuous process. It's not something that we're ever really done with. If we're someone that like wants to keep trying to reach our potential, or keep trying to like find different ways of doing things, it's like any kind of injury is going to leave a scar of some sort. It might even affect like how we move. And I think that's the same in my experience with mental health injuries or incidents, is that we're never going to go back to our previous state of being. Like, we're always going to have to find what we consider either a new normal, or at least a new threshold for like how we're showing up on a day-to-day basis. And it's not a failure that those things still affect us. I think it's just a testimony to how deeply we can be affected. I don't think there's necessarily a right way of doing things, but there is a way of making intentions turn into actions, and figure out how we can support people more effectively. You need to build up those supports in a more definitive and supportive way. I don't think it's good enough to say to someone like, oh, have you considered therapy? Or have you considered this modality of support? And leave it at that. I think sometimes people need that extra support of like, here's the number that you could call, and this is the person that like I've had a really great experience with. Like a little more connection and a little more like step-by-step support of like, here's some things to try. Like, even if you just try it once, like, let's try these things, and having someone help almost like walk you through some of the things that could happen. And it needs to be ongoing too, because I think a lot of people understand that folks need support within like, you know, the first couple of days or the first week after an incident, but then everyone's so different that some people's trauma isn't going to show up until weeks or months or even years later. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, why is that person acting so weird? Or why are they like so sensitive now? And it's like totally disconnected to maybe what caused it, but they're still feeling the effects, and they're still suffering because of it. And yet that support that's there in the first few days afterwards is totally not there for them if there's a delayed reaction. Comparative suffering it's detrimental. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but I think it's really common that it's like, oh man, this person has had so many things happen to them. Like, I should not be feeling this way because they've had so much more. And like the perception of what someone is able to handle or not is always going to be changing and different. And I mean, for me, in terms of like, I don't know that I've necessarily stopped having comparison at all, and not even comparative suffering. Like I think I still struggle with like, man, how is it that I'm still having like these challenges that I know are rooted in like this trauma that isn't like, it's not fully healed, or it hasn't healed to the point where these kind of symptoms are totally gone. And my perception is like, I'll see other people that I'm like, wow, like they seem so much further ahead or so much better off than where I'm at. Like, what am I doing wrong? And like, fortunately now I'm not dwelling on it as much, and I'm still just trying to focus on what does help me move forward. So I think, yeah, like a portion of it is just like time helps heal and like make things a little less acute. But it certainly doesn't solve the underlying issue of comparison and societal expectation. Yeah, I think that we all have the capacity to hide what's really going on. I think that's absolutely something that humans are really good at doing, and I think that's why it's so important to have these community opportunities to get together and actually share what is going on without the pressure of like being in a workplace, or without the pressure of like, oh, I'm doing this and then I need to go and perform, or I need to go and like show up as my strongest version. It's like having those safe spaces to like take off the mask and take off the burden and like put it on the floor, look through it, and have other people just be with you while you're doing that is so important. And like, not only that everyone's looking at you and what's going on, or kind of like what's quote unquote not going well, but that then you can also bear witness to what other people are doing. And I think that helps. It helps us to remember our own humanity and our own vulnerability, and that we can experience that and we can still be a strong and competent version of ourselves along with everything else that's going on. It's not an either or situation. Still having a large repertoire and memory of really positive times of connection and appreciation and fun in the mountains, I think, is what keeps me going back. And then also the recognition that you can choose how and where and when you're going into the mountains, and it doesn't need to be always at the same level or the same place or the same even activity as the experiences that maybe produced a traumatic event. And so again, remembering that like, it's not the mountains that are necessarily the place of trauma. It's like, it's the event that happened, and not every day is going to be an event like that.
If you could go back and tell yourself something after the second incident, in those weeks following, if you could tell yourself anything, what advice would you give yourself, or what would you tell yourself?
I would just tell myself to like, you have permission to just stop. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to be anything more than what you just are right now. And being able to experience what I was going through at that time without feeling like I needed to change it, or I needed to fix it, or I needed to make it any different than what it was. I think that permission and that acceptance could have gone a really long way in helping me reconcile what I'd been through.
You can't go home. You can't go home. But you can find another shelter you can call your own. You can't push time. You can't push time. But you can ride out every wave like an alibi. Your past won't leave. Your past won't leave. It'll stay with them like it stays with me.